Personal log of Joshua Shaw, Stardate 95451.43. Hi Des, so this is coming very late. I had planned to do this video about a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, but life happened. I got bogged down at work, and we'll probably be bogged down for the next few days, so I'm doing this now. So, in the last time we had a video up, it was the SuperHero power video, in which you challenged me to re-roll my character and start over, basically. Which is fine, because I was doing it off of a whim and just randomly threw them together. So, in this video, I am discussing the results on that. And the results are, I went with 2 powers, only 2. I could have gone with more, but the ones I ended up getting were overpowered, in my opinion. But I guess that's a good thing I limited it to 2. Alright, so, in the order that I rolled them, I got Power Erasure and Higher Consciousness. So, for those who are kind of wondering, Power Erasure is the ability to remove someone else's power. An example of that was in the X-Men movies. I believe it's X-Men Last Stand. There is a boy who they found out can remove the mutant X gene from people. They don't explain how he does it, but he can do it. So, basically the corporation that is trying to monopolize on that, get him to donate a lot of his blood and keep him locked up. Anyways, basically they're trying to eliminate the mutants via his ability, which is a mutant ability. So that's the basics behind Power Erasure. Different franchises use it to different extents, but in my case I'm just going to say it removes superpowers. I will also put a caveat on that of certain superpowers that are not physically based could probably regenerate back, but in general he can just remove powers. Higher Consciousness was the second one I rolled, which I really wish they had done a little bit deeper on the website, and I could have gone deeper, but I didn't. But basically it's the ability to become super aware and to become not really one with the universe as it has in Buddhism. I mean, that could be implied, but basically you have a higher level of thinking. You can think above the picture. Humans have this tendency of looking at our small segment of the universe and only focusing on that. Higher Conscious looks at the entire thing, and in certain cases looks at all the probabilistic outcomes of certain things. Oddly enough, a good example in recent history of Marvel Comics was Ulysses. He was a Inhuman, I believe, who had the ability to see the future, and that's how we kicked off Civil War II. I'm not going to go into the specifics of Civil War II. There was a lot of hit or miss on that from what I understood, but the basics behind it is one group said, let's follow him to the letter and arrest villains before they do their thing. The other says no. The other side said, no, it's probability. It doesn't really mean that things will happen the way he says it does. Which, in the end, is kind of what we find out. But, anyways, for the purpose of this video, I came up with another hero idea. Still working on some of the backstory, but the basics of it is, it was a man who had discovered his ability to think above the picture. He ended up spending a lot of time away from society, separating himself from society to the point where he could just think about things. And in his process of thinking, he found out that there were other people like him who had enhanced abilities, except he kind of figured that theirs would manifest differently than his. So he began going inwards and thinking on his own abilities and found out of ways to remove abilities from other people. Kind of going down the line a little bit in time, he was eventually discovered by, I believe his name was Gaius. There was a character created a long time ago who is about 2,000 years old at our point in time, and was there for the crucifixion. He's eventually discovered by Gaius, and Gaius is, and kind of at this point, the leader of a group who deals with threats to the international community, and also tries to incorporate people with higher abilities or superpowers. In general, Gaius is supposed to be a father figure, but to this guy, they're kind of on even playing grounds, because this guy can see the big picture of everything. He can see and probabilities of what could happen, and he can make really good judgments on those probabilities. Anyways, he and Gaius team up, and when a villain in the story would show up, and they would be able to capture the villain, so like let's say one of the teams who had different superpowers go out, and they manage to capture a villain, kind of like what the Avengers do. They bring him back, and the new character could remove the powers from them. And that's basically where he gets his code name, Judge, because he can judge the person, whether they can be either converted to a good person by, just kind of giving them the resources they need to be able to accomplish whatever it is they need to do. So an example, not all villains are villains for the sake of being evil. Some of them do the things they do because they're trying to help people. Oddly enough, very much like Robin Hood, because everyone loves Robin Hood, and yet we're raising a thief on a pedestal. Well, anyways, after he could basically determine whether a villain could be redeemed, or if they just need to have their abilities removed. If they can be redeemed, he'll usually let them keep their abilities, but if he feels that they cannot be redeemed, he'll remove their abilities from them, and they will basically no longer be able to do the things that they did that was a threat to so many people. Now, one of the things in my fictional universe stuff I have a tendency of doing, I'm still on the fence of whether this is a thing or not, but it's multi-reality stuff. And in one of those said realities, this character, instead of using his powers for good, uses his powers against other people. Now, this would kind of go against his higher consciousness in that he would be able to see the outcomes of so many things. However, if one of those outcomes was that he ruled the world, he would just follow through with that. And one of his abilities of doing that would be to remove the ability of all these other superheroes who could oppose him, remove them from the playing field so they're just ordinary people now. Another interesting thing about power erasure is it doesn't necessarily have to do with just superpowers. In general, that's what we talk about when we're talking about it. But he can remove things from other people, like the ability to walk. He could basically just eradicate someone's ability to walk. You could do that unsupernaturally, of course, but you get the point. Anyway, so that's the idea for the character. I'm still kind of going 50-50 on what his origin is, but the basis of the character was, in the good reality, a man who could judge good and evil, and either allow someone to maintain their powers or to remove their powers. Onto a bit of a funny subject. One of my characters that you already know of is Jargon Titan, who has the ability to regenerate. So I wonder if those two guys met, and if the guy decided to remove Jargon's powers. Would Jargon's powers actually be removed, because his are biological, spiritual, and then just weird. So maybe he could remove one of them, but the other two would make up for it, and eventually the one he removed would be okay. I don't know. See, this is the weird thing about paradoxes. I can't figure this one out. Well, Des, with that, I will say have a good one. Love you, and I will see you later. Bye.